Yeah, well, what up, everyone? To the new episode, a new lesson of our microservice stack. And we were basically using GoKit, right? We built our microservices with bare hands, but now we're going to use GoKit. So the problem is going to be, previous lesson, we were trying to boot that up, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to split the screen here, right? And I'm going to say... That's a good question. It's going to be go run. Where are we? It's going to be the GoKit example. Ag, and then probably CMD, I guess. And main.go. Right, so it's running, everything is fine, and each time we're going to do a Thunder request here. How do we do this? Thunder request, just like this. It's going to be HTTP //localhost. I think it's 3000. Calculate, probably like that. If we send that, it's not going to work out. Probably a post. Boom. Also not. How do we do that? Let me quickly see where our endpoints are, because, yeah. Let's open up our folder here real quick. Aggregator, endpoint, we don't need this. CMD, main, maybe. This is that. Ag transport, new HTTP handle, let me see. Aggregate and invoice. Oh yeah, aggregate, yeah. I see. My bad. So we're going to say aggregate, right? Send this, and then we're going to have a 200 OK. The problem is, this is coming from the error encoder, is an end of file. That's fine. So what I'm going to do, this is working, right? Or middleware and everything. That's perfectly fine. Let me quickly do a body post here. And it's going to be probably an OBU ID, which is going to be this thing. Let me quickly see what we want. Aggregator request is at this thing. This one. Yeah. Perfectly fine. Now we're going to say value, which should be an integer. It's like that. And then we're going to say a Unix timestamp, which is also going to be an integer. Random stuff. We're going to send that. And then we're going to see error null, which is fine. But we don't see anything coming from our business logic. And I think, not quite sure, I need to check, is that we don't call next on these middleware thingies, right? So I'm going to close this. Let's open. Let's put this here. That's better. Yeah, fine. Where do we need to go? That's a good question. I have no clue, guys. Let me see here. The transport is going to be fine. The services are business logic. This middleware is a problem, right? Because if we call middleware on aggregate, we're returning null here, right? So what we're going to do is MW next. Probably with, we need the CTX here. CTX and a distance. I think that's going to be it or not. Probably not. That's problematic. Middleware here. It's going to be next. There's not. It's going to be this next dot aggregate, right? We're going to call that thing. That's very important. We can actually return this thing just to check, right? And we're going to do the same thing with calculate. We're going to make a CTX here. I think that's already going to be a little bit better. Let me see. Let's run this again. Let's open up Thunder request and send. Yeah, this is a rate limiter. Basically, it's very sensitive, but still, it's not working. So I think we're missing still something else. Middleware. So that's fine. We're gonna call instrumentation here. Do we miss? Oh, for a logging. That's important. So we're gonna copy this again, right? You need to understand that each time we wrap these things in an onion, in a layer on top of that, we need to basically call the substack, right? We need to call the sub thingy, which is going to be this. I think that's the problem. Not quite sure. I hope so, because I don't want to spend too much time figuring out these simple things. What's going on here? Paste that in, delete this. It's still early in the morning, so excuse me. Apologizes. Calculate CTX. We're going to inject this thing. And let's do this again. Boom. All right, let's see if we can get something right now. We're going to press send. All right, now it's working, right? Now you can see this is coming from the internal business logic layer, which is beautiful. Now everything is working. So what I'm going to do basically, I'm going to use my mouse because it's huge. I have a huge font and it's I don't know, maybe it's an excuse, but it is what it is, right? And that's basically the problem also, guys, is just off topic, right? You know that I like to do that. That's maybe a USP. Maybe you hate it. Maybe you like it. But if you really want to use your keyboard at the full, you want to learn that, try to use Vim then. Because this gives me, VS Code is fine, but it gives me also the possibility to use my mouse to click these things, right? But if you use Vim, you don't have that possibility. So you are basically forced to use your keyboard, right? So sometimes you need to make it yourself a little bit harder. And a lot of people ask, are you switched to VS Code? No, I'm using VS Code because it's a little bit better for you guys to see. So I can use turn the request in here and we don't need to switch tabs all that time. It's a little bit visually better for you guys, right? You can follow along. Even if I need to open these folders, it's nice and clean so you can follow what's going on, right? It's important. Okay, so basically for our logging middleware, what we're going to do here is we're going to do something like a defer func actually, right? You know the deal here, right? A defer func, which is going to take in an... we're going to say start. It's going to be a time, right? There's going to be a time now. Just like that, and then we're going to say here, the problem is that we don't have any logger, I guess. MW, we don't have, right? But that's fine. We could do something like an fmt .println or something, or even printf. It's going to be perfectly fine here. We could do %s, percentage. We need a structured logger here, to be honest, guys. I'm gonna lie. Can we use go-kit log, to be honest? Go-kit log, is that a thing? Is this a thing? Let us see. I have no clue. I need to check that up real quick. I go to GoKit. GitHub.com here real quick. Open that up. Put that screen to you guys. Make it a little bit bigger for the blind homies. Where is their login here, right? So I'm going to see here. Log, println, printf. Structured log. That's what we need. Log. I think we need to make one. That's a problem, right? We're gonna use this thingy here. We're gonna copy that. Let's make it good, guys. Let's make it good. Let's do not rush this. What I'm gonna do, I'm gonna paste this real quick in here. I'm gonna comment that out. God damn it. Big fingers, big problems, right? Middleware, GoKit examples, ag service, probably here. Yeah, that's fine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna say that in this log middleware, we're gonna have a log, which is gonna be a logger, which I don't want to use the standard logger here. I want to use the go-kit logger. Log, probably that. So that's good, right? So right now I'm going to make this a log. Good. It's going to be a logger from go-kit then, right? I'm going to say log is logger. That's going to be perfectly fine. So right now I can do this, right? MW log, which is structured, right? And then we could say, actually what we also could do here, guys, is each time we construct, yeah, that's going to be in the main if we construct that, right? So we're going to say log here, time, no, we're going to say took, it's going to be a time since start, right? We could also say distance is going to be dist. Not quite sure if that's going to do something. What we need to do actually, and we're going to also record an error here, which is going to be an error. So what we're going to do is this, right? I'm going to say add error, right? So we can capture this bad boy, and then we're going to say I think something like add is this, and just return, I guess. So we're gonna do the same thing, kinda, with calculate. We're gonna paste that in, but we're gonna say here calculate, right? Calculate, which is going to take in the distance. Is gonna be an integer. That's fine. So we're gonna say that the invoice is this and the R is this. So that's gonna be fine. Do we want the invoice? This is gonna be the request params incoming here, right? We could do this. We could say a request. Nah. This is fine. This is fine. That's fine. That's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Distance is this, and we could actually do something like invoice, which is going to be the inf, something like that. I'm curious how this is going to play out. And then we're going to call here, of course, calculate. That's fine. Wait, let's delete this. What's going on with mnext calculate here? That's going to return an invoice. That's a problem. So we're going to say this. Yeah. That's going to be fine. I'm going to test this because... Wait, we have a... yeah. We need to instantiate that, right? So where is this problem coming from? It's coming from service here because we need a logger. So what we're going to do... let's create our logger in here. Which I'm going to open up middleware again here. So I can copy these things from here. That's a little bit juggling around, I know. Save that here. And then I can basically type it over. So we're going to say... let's do something like var logger is a logger. That's going to be fine. Hopefully. It's not the standard. Yes. No, it's not. That's fine. It's a GoKit logger, which is beautiful. And then we're going to say log is going to be the log dot new fmt new log fmt logger. Yeah, it's a little bit annoying. Do we need something in here? What does it take? A writer. That's annoying. It takes a writer. Can we do null here or? Wait, we could do os.std. Yeah. Out, basically. Yeah. That's fine. And then we're gonna say log is going to be a log with. It's gonna be a logger, by the way. Because we're gonna give it a prefix, right? So we're gonna put in the logger here, and then we're gonna say it's gonna be the aggregator. Aggregator. Just like that. We could say actually instance. Or service. We could call it service, right? Just like that. So what's gonna do is basically gonna, for each, of course it's gonna be a string, yeah. Basically, it's gonna append that the service is gonna be the aggregator. So we know that in our logs, right? So that's that. We could do it actually clean with these brackets here if you really want to do that. Because they do it like that, so why not? Boom, just beautifully like this. And then in our new login middleware service, we're gonna inject this logger. That's gonna be Gucci, right? Boom, clear. Yes, boom, nice. That's nice. Then the request. Boom. Yeah, so we see what's going on here. Service is the aggregator. It took us 14 milliseconds. The distance is unsupported value type, and the error is null. So let's fix this real quick. First of all, I want to also fix our service coming from this aggregator thing. I'm going to delete this. So that's going to be fine. So we have some, this FMT can be gone, right? Because this is the business logic. There is no need for us to put logging in here. That's already been wrapped. That's the layer on top of that. So that's going to be amazing. Yeah, the logger, the middleware here. Let me open this up. Let me close these windows here. So basically this distance is unsupported by the structural logger, but that's no problem because we can say something like this, right? We can destruct it, OBU ID, right? Actually OBU is fine. We could do like a dist OBU, and we could also maybe call distance like this, which is going to be the distance dot value probably. Right, that's going to be much better. Of course, this is going to be fine. Let's see if that's going to work. Boom, paste that in, then the request, send. All right, so the distance is this, OBU is that, perfectly fine, right? Beautifully, beautifully, beautifully. So that's being fixed, right? What else do we need to do? I think we're also missing some logging coming from our transportation. Let me see. So let's do a little recap first, because it's, like I said, it can be confusing. We have our service, X service, which is the business logic. Our business logic is just the pure function of calculating something with data, right? That also has a middleware here. And that middleware will basically log what's happening inside of the business logic. Completely decoupled from transport, right? But we also have this endpoint here, which also has some middleware here and instrumentation. What we also need to do, guys, is do some instrumentation here, because we don't do anything, right? We don't do anything here. We already covered that. That's a thing. I want to basically fix this first. I need to find it again because this is getting very, very huge, right? Yeah, this endpoint. I want to basically make these middlewares here. Because this logging middleware will basically log and instrument your HTTP endpoint, right? So let me quickly open and see here how they did that. This weavebox, what are we doing here? Going to be go git golang. Toolkit for the microservice is pretty fine. Home maybe, GitHub actually. And I think we need to go to the examples here, and it's going to be it's relocated here. It's all fine. Click this. The add SVC, perfectly fine. The package here, and then we have these three thingies, and in the endpoint we're going to have a set, but also a middleware, right? God damn it, get up. Yeah. Okie dokie. So we have instrumentation and a login middleware, right? Yeah. Let me copy this thing real quick. Copy here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make in our endpoint here, in our ag endpoint, we're going to make a new file. I'm going to call this middleware.go. Paste that in. Actually, to be honest, package ag endpoint, that's fine. Paste this in. Save that. We're going to see what's going on here, right? So we have a logging middleware. We take in a logger, of course, because otherwise we cannot log. The same principle as we did before. Request interface, response interface, perfectly fine. We do our defer func here. We're going to say transport error. Oh yeah, it's the error from the transport. Yeah, you could call it transport error. I just don't like it. Error is fine. Took is this. And then if you want, you can basically check your requests and log them if you really want to. And then we're going to do next here, which is this next endpoint. Yeah, beautifully. That's what we want, right? Yeah, I was thinking maybe we should add something to differentiate these two loggings. We will see how it goes. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open up this set real quick here. And we could do this again, which is going to take in the aggregate endpoint. Yes, that's fine. This is instrumentation Miller. I need to do that. We're going to copy this, actually, to be honest. This is going to be fine. All right, let's see if that's going to work out. Put that in, do a new request. You're going to send that. Yeah, so now we have a couple things. This is basically the login that our HTTP transport is running at 3000, right? Then we have a service, which is our aggregator. It's the business logic that will basically tell what it's doing. And then we have the middleware that is telling us that we are calling the method sum, which is completely out of, which is not true. We just copy paste that. We need to fix this. Where did we do that? It's in set probably here. Method concat, that's not true. We're going to say this is going to be the method calculate. Is it, or is it invoice? I think it's invoice. Remember the shenanigans, and this is going to be the method aggregate. Aggregate, right? Maybe do this. Capitalize this, right? So if you do this again, boom, boom. So there's a lot of instrumentation, a lot of logging going on, which I like. Logging is always good. So if I send this, boom. So now you're going to see, we're going to call aggregate here. The error is null, and it took us that, right? And this is the business logic itself. Of course, these two loggers do a little bit weird because we construct another logger here. So if we want to fix that, because that's logging middleware, takes in this logger, that's fine. Where is our main function here? So we pass in these loggers into the service, that's fine. Endpoint also. Here, that's the problem. We need to pass in the logger here, right? We need to pass in the logger into our service. So if I open up my service from GoKit example here, and we say new service, here, I'm going to say a log logger. Log is going to be, or logger is going to be a log logger. We're going to delete everything what we learned in here. And that's going to be perfectly fine, I guess. Let's see if the logging is a little bit more deterministic now. Oh man, this turn request is annoying. Where is this thing? Here. Boom. Right, now we have a beautifully deterministic logging, right? Everything is using the timestamp, the callers, and all that stuff, right? So we're going to see this one. This is the OBU ID. And we called method aggregate. So basically what we also can do to make this actually pinpoint perfectly precise is to open up our middleware. Middleware from the GoKit, middleware GoKit example. Yeah, here. No. That's the problem. If you're going to start fuzzy finding and everything basically has the same name, it's going to be nasty. It's going to be in this service or middleware here. I think I want to call, if you guys can see this, I also want to call here maybe a method which is going to be, this is annoying, aggregate or something. Yeah, that's going to be it. So now we're going to know exactly what is going on, right? Let's send here, boom, right? So now you're going to see method aggregate, this one, method aggregate. This is the HTTP context, right? HTTP, login, business logic login. Man, I'm getting sick. I'm so sorry, right? Okay, so that's nice. So basically, if we take a look at that, the next thing I want to do to basically make this complete, let me close basically all editors because there's too many. Actually, to be honest, no, because then I'm losing my Thunder client request. Let me kill these here real quick. Boom. So now we basically have our complete service running. The only thing we're missing are some metrics. Yeah. So what can we do here is I'm thinking here. Where are we going to place them? It makes sense to do metrics in our here. So what we could do is copy this. Let's just try to do it ourselves instead of copying the metrics thingy. So we're going to say instrumentation middleware. We're going to take this stuff here. I think we need to have some, let's call it a request counter or something. Counter Prometheus dot counter or something. And then we could do each time the request is successful. So we could make a defer func. Depends, right? You could also log errors. We already covered that, right? I'm just going to try to do some stuff. I'm going to give you some ideas how to do that. Because you could check if there is an error. If there is an error, you're going to increment the error counter and yada, yada, yada. We already covered this shenanigans. But we could do after, we could do a defer func and say, for example, counter.inc. Something like that. And you could have multiple counters. You could actually have a strict full of instrumentation. It doesn't really matter. So now the instrumentation middleware, we need to go back to our set probably, because we need to call this here. And oh, it's using a duration. Actually, that makes more sense. Let's make the duration actually. Because request counter, who cares? It maybe how long it took is maybe a better thing, actually, to be honest. We could do a duration. I'm not quite sure how this is gonna be working. What are they using actually for duration? Let me quickly see in the GitHub what they do for their instrumentation. Middleware here. It's an histogram. That's what I thought. The question is, remember this histogram stuff we did with these buckets? How are they using that? We're going to check that out later on. So they do duration histogram, makes a lot of sense. Duration width. A method concat. Actually, they already have some stuff. What is this? Where is duration width coming from? Instrumenting middleware. Alright, I like that. Instrumenting middleware. I like that. It's going to be a Prometheus.histogram. That's fine. Defer, that's what they do. Yeah, that's what I thought. And they do it with the time. Duration. Dot, I think it's observe. Right. Oh, they do width. Dot observe. Oh, that's crazy, actually. Look at it, guys. We're learning more. It's going to be width. Wait, but that's going to be a matrix histogram. I think they wrap that. Yeah, go get matrix. Let's use that. They wrap basically some Prometheus stuff to make our lives easier. Well, that's fine. Let's call it a matrix.histogram. Alright, duration width, which is going to be, how do they call that? With success. And an error. That's crazy what they do. What is width? Oh, that's labels. That's crazy. With success, I also want to do aggregator. Can we know where it's coming from? We probably don't. It's fine. Dot observe. That's what I thought, right? Dot observe, which is going to be basically time since start, probably dot seconds or something. I have no clue. It's going to be a function that I need to call here. Yeah, that's exactly right. They call it begin, I call it start. It's all the same thing. So that's the duration we're going to add. That's perfectly fine. Right now, instead, we're going to have a problem. That's what they do. Yeah, you could call with any time. So basically, we don't have access to this method in our instrumenting middleware. But now we have. So now we can do that. This is amazing. So I'm going to call this, this probably invoice. The problem is duration. That's because we don't have that, but that's no big of a deal. The question is, do they... So I know how to make this duration, right? That's easy. The question is, are they duplicating this? Are they using the same duration? It's something I asked for myself for a very long time. This is going to be the aggregator endpoint. Aggregate endpoints. I need to call it like this. Perfectly fine. The duration, we don't have that. So I could do something like... Let me first quickly see how they do that, right? Let me see. It's going to be add endpoint set. What do they do with the duration here? The duration is a matrix histogram. It's 1. So that's amazing. So that basically means they use 1 duration for these 2 metrics, which is nice. So what are we gonna do? Are we going to copy this, or are we going to make the duration here? Right? You could do something like this. How did they actually make that thing? Matrix histogram. Let me see. That's going to be probably in the... Or they do it here? Probably not. Nope, it's not here. It's probably in the CMD stuff. It's probably in the CMD stuff here, right? Add CLI. What the hell is that? Add service, probably here. Alright, where is the duration? Wait, this is actually crazy. Matrix counter. Prometheus new counter from. I think duration. Here is this thing. Duration matrix game new summary from. That's crazy. That's crazy. This is a histogram. Well, not quite sure what this is. I'm just going to copy this and call it a day sometimes, right? So let me paste it in here. This is STD Prometheus. I understand what that is. Oh, that's Prometheus coming from the matrix, from GoKit itself. So GoKit also wraps a little bit of Prometheus itself. That's no big of a deal. And then they call STD Prometheus is basically the prefix they use for Prometheus themselves, right? So let me really copy this. Like I said, you can clearly see, guys, that making these services and making them instrumented takes a shit ton of code, takes a shit ton of abstraction, and takes a lot of time and effort. You can see this, right? So it basically means that if you do it bare hands, you're going to be in a pain, especially if you want to do it like this, all instrumented and locked. There's also rate limiting and all that stuff in here, and circuit breaking, so that's amazing. But still, there's a lot of stuff to do. So can you imagine you basically need to maintain 30 microservices? So, yeah, just keep that in mind if you want to build your own project or something. Just stay with the monolith for a very long time, unless you work for a company, you need to do that, right? But now you know everything, right? Now you know all the pieces that needs to be done. So I'm going to copy this just because, so I don't need to type it out actually. So I'm going to paste it in here. It's going to be perfectly fine. I'm going to make the duration here, a namespace aggregator. Actually, to be honest, there's going to be the toll calculator, right? Toll calculator. This is going to be the aggregation service, the subsystem, right? We're going to call this request duration seconds, and then is the help. That's perfectly fine. The method, not quite sure what that is. Why did they call it success? No idea. So that's the duration. That's going to be perfectly fine. The problem is instrumenting middleware does not exist. Why is that? That's because we do instrumenting middleware. Is that coolio? Yes, now it's fine, right? Now we have everything. Sum, that's going to be problematic. That's not going to be the case. This is going to be method is aggregate. That's going to be invoice. Let's go back to the instrumenting middleware. We're going to do this perfectly fine. Let's run this to see if everything is top Gucci and top notch. Boom. We have a problem. All right, that's fine. That's no problem. Oh, it's the must register thing. Are they calling that? It's not a valid metric name. Well, that's annoying. I think they should have updated that. I think that's going to be some old code. So if you guys want, you could go to GoKit and make your first. It's very important. I'm going to tell you right now, this is a special tip. You see what's going on. There is a problem. Check in GoKit if there is no issue for this, because you could basically make your first open source contribution to a very big project. And if you could say, hey, I made some, I'm a contributor to GoKit microservices framework. Guys, hey. That's a good thing. So the problem is that in our middleware here, where do we call this, man? There's so many stuff, guys. It's crazy. Here, one of these things is an invalid name. I think it's going to be this help thing. Ah, I know what the problem is. It's actually this one. It's the namespace. You cannot do dashes in the namespace. So actually, it's going to be fine. It's going to be fine. It's no big of a deal. I thought, yeah, I thought it was way worse than that, but now we fixed it. So let's open up Thunder request, which is completely broken. It's gone, but it's fine. Atlas, we don't need that. It's crazy. Thunder request. All right, let's see what we get here. Let's do an HTTP once again. So annoying, actually. Localhost. Maybe that's why Postman with collections is so easy. You just open Postman, press enter, and you're good. Not quite sure if Thunder Client has that, but I don't think so. So we're going to say aggregate. We need to make a post real quick. We're going to send. It's going to be a problem. It's going to be an invalid URL. That's because I cannot type decent HTTP. There's going to be an error. That's perfectly fine, right? It's logging our errors here. Cool, cool, cool. We're going to make a body real quick. JSON, perfectly fine. So we're going to say OBU ID is going to be this thing, and then we're going to say value is going to be this thing, and probably Unix or something. I'm not quite sure if that's true. It's going to be also something, and we're going to send. Boom. Let me see what's going on here. Label name success missing label map. Okay. Yeah, it's this. This is weird. These are labels. But I remember an endpoint this thing. Huh. We do with success. That's annoying. Wait. Do we need to do it like that? That could be that. That's not the case, right? That would be so fucking BS, right? If that's the problem. Well, That was the problem. We fixed that. So it's cool. The problem is we don't have rate limiting exceeded. It's this rate limiting is crazy, man. Look at that. You can fix that if you want. And even the circuit breaker kicks in. So that's fine. So this is working pretty fine. Our service is completely bootstrapped. It's completely instrumentated with GoKit. It has a rate limiting. It has the whole shebang, request, response, everything is set up. This is actually nasty. That's actually nice, I want to say. Look at this, beautifully, right? GoKit, the aggregator example, split out in 3 beautiful layers, 3 beautiful domains, the endpoint, the business logic, and the transportation itself, which is amazing because why would this endpoint be important here? You want to see that because if you want to do gRPC for this, which is going to be, you don't need to do a lot of things for that. You just need to make these transport stuff here, right? Where is this? GoKit example here. Boom, boom, boom. You're just going to make a new transport, which is going to be the gRPC transport, and you're going to call all these pieces we already made, put them together, and you have something like that, right? So basically, we're almost there. In the next lesson, we're basically going to put things together. We're going to boot up the whole application and see how it all works out with the GoKit examples and see it running and all that stuff, right? We're going to do some stuff with that, right? Some fun. We're going to have some fun with that. See you in the next one.